Pop Culture Pastor.
Okay. Welcome back to Watch-Alongs, where we recap the world's most emotionally devastating apocalypse and still somehow crack jokes.
Yeah.
I just want to point out Cody's wearing his Smokey the Bear hat.
I am.
And I just think that's retro cool.
It is.
It would totally make sense if people in Last of Us were wearing a Smokey the Bear hat or paraphernalia.
They really should be. And especially since we're in Seattle.
Especially since he existed before 2003.
He did.
Unlike, other things.
Which we will talk about.
This week, revenge is hot, trauma's hotter, and Jesse is, well, he's cold, real cold. Grab your boat paddle and let's steer directly into the emotional tsunami that is season 2 finale of The Last of Us.
While there was a kind of literal tsunami.
Yeah, that was wild, huh? Does that happen in storms? Like ones that big?
I'm not from the Seattle area. I cannot confirm or deny.
I could see the waves being a bit bigger and choppier, but that was like a full-on tsunami. We'll talk about that. That might be the worst part of this episode. And that's a tough competition, I think, because I think we have a lot to complain about if I'm reading the room right.
Potentially.
All right, let's just get to it. So we start off with Ellie showing up. Jesse and Dina at the theater. And we hear the WLF go radio silent as they have the radio that they've been listening to. Jesse is removing the arrow from Dina's leg. She says, "Don't let me die." She's basically in a lot of pain, which, yeah.
Yes.
He says, "I got you." He offers her, he's pouring alcohol on the arrow, and he offers her some alcohol to drink. And she says, no. And
that's not like her.
Yeah. And he goes, "No, come on. What are you doing? Drink this. It'll help." And she gets real adamant. Says, "I said no." And he gets this knowing look like, yeah, Jesse knows. Jesse knows she's pregnant. Clearly he knows he's the dad.
Yep.
Cut to Ellie showing up at the theater.
But he does do something good, though, in this scene.
Oh, the way he gets the arrow out, you mean?
Yes, because pulling it out, there's a good chance he would nick an artery and then she would be dead.
Yeah, so the way those arrows are, you can't pull it out the way it came in because It would take a lot of stuff with it. Mm-hmm. You have to push it through the way it entered.
Yeah.
And that was hard to watch, if I'm being honest.
I'm like, this is a good survival show moment.
That was on the level with the tooth removal in Castaway. Like
yes.
The dread of waiting for it to happen. Ellie shows up at the theater. Jesse wants to know what happened, where she went. Ellie only cares about seeing Dina. Imagine that.
Sounds like Ellie.
She wakes Dina up.
That's rude.
Who's resting. I mean, listen, I'm trying to be funny, but there's a theme here.
There is.
Which I think the showrunners were trying to show us.
Very much so.
And Jesse's going to spell it out here in a little bit. But she wakes Dina up. "Is the baby?" she asks. Dina says she's okay. "How do you know?" "I just do." She wants to look at the wound. I don't know. There's kind of this weird connection, I guess. Although none of it seems super romantic or "I'm so glad to see you"-ish.
Yeah.
It just seems kind of weird. Then Dina sees that Ellie is bloodied on her back. Says, "Go over there. I'll clean you up." So she's scratched. She's bruised badly across her back. And Dina says, "So are you going to tell me what happened?" And then Ellie does. Tells her exactly what happened with Nora and that she tortured her and then left her, which is torture, essentially, because that would be a terrible way to slowly die.
Poor Jesse. He doesn't get this story.
No, I don't think Jesse would have made it through the story. He is not happy with Ellie whatsoever. "I thought it would be harder to do," Ellie says, "but it wasn't. It was easy. I just kept hurting her." "Did you kill her?" "No, I left her." Ellie tells Dina what happened with Joel and the Fireflies. So because Dina says something like, well, they deserved it. And Ellie, in a moment of, clarity, says, what if they didn't? And she tells Dina what happened with Joel, what Joel did, and who the doctor was that he killed, and among all the other people there. And Dina's mood changes immediately. Cody, is she not down?
I do wonder if Ellie would have been going lone wolf to Seattle.
Yeah. Because, it wasn't an accident. That was pretty clear. Her mood changes immediately, and then she says, we need to go home, and lays back down and stops talking. We get to day 3 in the theater. Jesse and Ellie are packing, still radio silence from the WLF. They went radio silent in that first scene. Dina limps in badly, by the way, and you're like, how is she going to move? Seems like this is an uphill battle for them just to get out of Seattle. Jesse and Ellie are going to go meet Tommy at their rendezvous point. Jesse asks if Dina's okay to barricade, which she says yes. So they head for this rendezvous point, and all of this back and forth between Ellie and Jesse is, I assume, the main point of this episode. They're trying to get us to see something. Ellie is talking, but Jesse's not really wanting to talk to her because he's clearly upset. Ellie thanks Jesse for coming to get him. He tells Ellie he knows Dina is pregnant as he finally busts out in anger. He's finally just like, you made all this happen. Now we had to come get you and risk our lives. Now I'm going to be a father, he says, which means I can't die. But because of you, we're stuck in a war zone. Mm-hmm. And by the way, as soon as he said, I'm going to be a father, now I can't die, I knew he was going to die. They come across WLF chasing a scar down in the parking garage that they're hiding from the rain in. And Ellie wants to go 2-on-6 to help this. He looks like a teenager.
She does not think things through.
No. And again, I think I'm going to talk about this in a little while, because I think what the showrunners want you to be thinking about here is they want you to be thinking about this as morally ambiguous. But what I see is Ellie contextualizing what they're doing to this teenager who's literally at war. These two sides are at war, which is Jesse's viewpoint. But she's contextualizing it from her own point of view, her own hurt. Which, again, I think is the problem with revenge and bitterness, is it, as Jesse points out, makes you really selfish.
And do stupid things.
Absolutely.
She's trying to go against this group of 6 who then could back or call for backup, and then you have a group of like 1,000 on you.
If she didn't have people with her, if Ellie was on her own, there was already like 5 or 6 situations that would have got her killed before she even made it to Nora.
Yep.
She wanted to go 2-on-6. That would have been dead. They had automatic weapons. Jesse holds her back, says this isn't our war. And they have this kind of back and forth where Ellie tries to justify it. Something, community, something. But it really lands flat.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to the WLF. They're using the Costco as a staging area, which I got excited about.
If Costco doesn't have it, you don't need it.
You find any good deals at the Costco? The lady who lost her son in the last episode, General Park. I don't know if she's a general or not. She's reporting to Isaac. They're clearly staging to go on some offensive. Isaac wants to know where Abby is, which this is interesting because we hadn't really heard anything about Abby's standing in the WLF, which apparently is pretty important.
Yes.
Yeah. He wants to know where Abby is, and Park gets kind of annoyed. Like, you in love with her or something?
Yeah, buddy.
You wouldn't be the first, old man. And he, for his point, I thought he was going to get mad and kill her, but he doesn't. He laughs and he says, okay. And he goes through kind of this explanation of like, we're all going to die. There's a good chance we're about to die. And we need a good leader to lead these people after we're gone, because despite their BA name, he says, they're very much sheep.
It is nice to see that he's at least thinking about the future.
Yeah, it's weird though. weird, like, oh, who's going to lead our post-apocalyptic army? I mean, that's super weird. He talks about them like they're his children.
He's a super weird dude.
And in that moment, I didn't find him any less strange than the Scars.
He should be a very strange dude. And he's carrying it out.
Yes. Well, and the actor, Jeffrey Morgan, is that his name? I think. I don't know. Jeffrey Wright.
Yes.
Jeffrey Wright. I got him confused with someone else. He's wonderful. Like, he's great as this character. The library is where we go to next. Jesse and Ellie make it there, but Tommy isn't there. He's missed the rendezvous. But now we're going to go to deeper themes, the pastor's corner, because there's something on the library wall there, Cody.
There always is.
We can come back to it if you have another deeper theme later on.
I don't know if I have deep themes from this.
On the wall of the library, it's painted, "Everything has a moral, if only you can find it." Then she comes across the children's books. The monster at the end of the book. Well-known book, by the way. I used to read this to my kids. It's a Sesame Street book with Grover. And Grover is constantly reminding you that there's a monster at the end of this book. And,
well, that's nice.
And it's supposed to build the tension, right? But seeing these two elements back to back says something. The show is saying something. The moral, the monster. In that story, Grover keeps reminding the reader that a monster is hiding at the back of the book, and the monster turns out to be Grover himself.
Oh, Grover.
Spoilers. The story is subtly, the showrunners, whatever we want to say here, I think is subtly contradicting itself. Because they're trying to present it in the way where they want you to believe that they're presenting a morally ambiguous proposition. But they aren't really. This isn't morally ambiguous at all. Ellie is the monster, like Joel before her, because they have allowed bitterness to take over their hearts, where retaliation is all they care about, which is inherently selfish. In the Bible, anger isn't a sin, but it warns to get rid of it before the sun goes down. And the implication, like the story of Jonah in the Bible, is that hurt turns to anger, turns to bitterness, and a bitter heart only cares for itself. And you're seeing this play out because retaliation is almost worse than the original hurt. It's almost a bigger sin because you're choosing to feed anti-peace into a world that you claim to want peace in. And you can see in the show how the cycle will never end.
Until someone breaks the curse.
Oh, man. Well, it's not going to get broken in this episode. It's just going to get much, much worse. We'll get there. Jesse tells a story in the library where he gave something up for the greater good. I don't know that we need to elaborate on the story, but he had a girl he fell in love with in 2 weeks and wanted Jesse to go with her. And he turned it down because he had responsibilities to the people of Jackson. And Ellie understands what he's getting at because the moral is Jesse is saying that you don't care about anybody, but I make decisions speak for the community. And they're starting to get mad. Ellie's being sarcastic and radio chatter breaks it up. There's a sniper. And they obviously surmise it's Tommy.
Which I was excited at this moment.
Yeah. And Tommy's fighting, right? Like you can hear it in the radio. He's taking shots. He's apparently killing people. Killing WLF from his lookout tower or wherever he's at. But we never get to see it.
Nope.
They go up. So Jesse and Ellie go up the skyscraper to try and get a look of where Tommy might be because all they're getting is a location. So they're looking at the map. They go to look from the top of the building. But while they're up there and Jesse is looking where the shots are coming from, Ellie sees a clue on the side of the aquarium that relates to the two words Nora said to her, which were whale and wheel or something like that. It's not even important.
Wasn't important at all.
And she's just like, okay, well, we got to go to this aquarium so I can get revenge. Like Tommy's literally fighting the WLF on his own. Jesse is just as mind boggled as I am right now.
Especially when you factor in this is Joel's brother. This is the guy that took you in, gave you a community to live in.
Yeah.
And you're pseudo dad Joel to also reside in and gave you guys purpose and meaning for the past handful of years. And then, nope, you fight your own battles, buddy.
Yeah. Jesse straight up tells her everything you do for you. It's not in the best interest of the community. She straight up says, forget the community, in different words.
And we do learn that Jesse did not vote for her.
Yes. And Ellie is like, well, why? And he said, that's when he says, you do everything you do for you. You're not thinking about the community. And basically, they're just going to go their separate ways at this point. To which Jesse says, I really hope you make it.
That was nice of him.
Yeah.
Because I would not have said it.
Whew. Yeah. I'm watching this whole thing at this point and I'm just flabbergasted. I'm like, this is awful. This is just terrible. And it's so weird how the show's presenting this. And I know it's a video game. I know that Ellie is just the person you're playing in the video game. But I have no idea how you can call her the protagonist at this point, because she's not the good guy. Like, you're used to playing the hero on the video game.
She's an anti-hero.
But everything Jesse said was correct. Ellie leaves. She's looking for a boat to cut the corner.
Okay, so this is where I had a huge beef.
Oh gosh, this whole scene is just, what were they doing?
So,
do you want me to describe the scene first?
I guess.
You want me to get through the ridiculous part? I'll stop here. So she's looking for a boat. Well, I'll say it as quickly as possible because none of this means anything. She goes down to the dock. There's a boat that she's going to get, a fishing boat that looks like it hasn't been used since the pandemic started. But before she can get there, all of a sudden, there's a bunch of WLF boats there picking people up from the dock, maybe, but not really. They just happen to be in that area.
Yeah.
And then they're obviously launching an offensive, which you're meant to see on this island that's out in the water. That is apparently where the scars are. They leave. She takes the boat. It starts, which... the cord, it had a pull cord, man. Like, that thing would be rotted. No, bro.
I mean, I had beef just because for the whole first season and even times during this season, what would be kind of basic knowledge for us today, Ellie struggles with. Like, also didn't know how to drive, didn't know all those things. So how's she going to know how to start the boat and steer the boat and, like, guide the boat to where she needs to go?
We have had no indication that she has any experience with boats. She goes right for the pole starter, which, like, listen, I could show my kids one of those boats right now. My oldest ones are just as old as Ellie. They live in a real world where the pandemic didn't erase technology, and they would have no clue.
And in a community where there are people that own fishing boats that you have to pull to start the motor.
Yeah, she knows how to accelerate and steer, but not very well, apparently, because she runs the thing right into a stupid tsunami, which apparently is out there. The next thing we see, because she gets capsized, the next thing we see is the boat and her, boy, that's a lucky break, have washed up on the island. And I was like, wait a minute, wasn't the tsunami going the other way? Doesn't matter, Cody. Don't answer that question.
It doesn't matter.
It's not important. Because the whole thing is she gets spotted by a kid, one of the Scar kids.
Village people.
And they're stringing her up. She gets taken. They're stringing her up. You're supposed to be scared for her, I guess.
I wasn't.
But then the WLF attack happens just at the right time. Little Deus Ex Machina. She gets away. And Cody, here's the thing. Why is this scene here? I have no idea why this scene here. It has no bearing on the story. Maybe it's so the viewer sees what the WLF were up to, I guess, or that the kid Ellie wanted to risk herself for wouldn't have returned the favor, maybe? I don't know. This was a mind-boggling decision by the showrunners. I think
that part of it is the village people, as I like to refer to them as. They wouldn't have returned the favor that Ellie was willing to try to do earlier. Also, it could be set up for next season just because you're going to get a lot more of, I think, the happenings of Seattle next season. I did find it funny that when they get attacked, everyone's like, oh, we got to run to the village. And I'm like, the village people! Called it.
Someone's attacking the village. Quick, go. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, she gets away, and then she's back on the boat again. It was such a weird scene, dude. Such a weird scene. And then she's at the aquarium almost like that. I mean, she was farther away that time than she was to begin with.
I want to know, like, how old was the gasoline in the boat? And also, like, how is it functioning so well? Like, even I know people that maintain their boats and struggle getting it started.
I mean, did this show just run out of time for the things they wanted to tell? I think 7 episodes for this story, the amount of story they told in this season, was just not enough. And it really, I thought through the first half of the season, it wasn't a problem. But clearly the second half of the season it is, because everything felt compacted, rushed, and it's just kind of wild.
At the same time, I question, do you have enough for 3 seasons?
Now, they're saying 4 now.
Oh, well, don't do that.
The showrunners just this past week literally said season 3 is going to be Abby-centric, which the end of this episode clearly steers you into, and that it's going to take 4 seasons to tell the story. And I'm just like, I don't know if you can have viewers on board for that.
Then you should have stretched out video game 1 to 2 seasons.
Like, look, the numbers are not good after the death of Joel. The viewership has declined.
Well, when you lose Pedro, you lose the pulse of America.
Ellie sneaks into the aquarium for what seems like ages. Like, she gets from the island to the aquarium in like 30 seconds. And then it seems like it takes her 20 dang minutes to get from the outside of the aquarium to the part she needs to get to.
Yes.
She hears voices arguing. It's Owen and Mel. They're arguing about finding Abby. Now, we still really don't understand what's happening because they're setting up to tell Abby's story next season.
Yep.
But something has clearly happened where Abby has abandoned the WLF.
As Abby's been known to do.
And Ellie finds them, has her gun trained on them. They see her. Mel sees her first, and Ellie says, "Where's Abby?" And Owen's got the best delivered line of the episode. You gotta be kidding me.
Exactly.
I fell out when he said that. I was like, that is the reaction. That is so realistic. I believe that reaction. You gotta be kidding me. She does the map thing Joel does in season 1. Point to the map on where Abby is. And if both of you don't point to the same one, I'm killing you both. Owen correctly surmises she's going to kill us anyways.
Yep.
But she's going to force him to do it. And Owen says, I'll show you. Because clearly Owen knows that Mel's pregnant. Mm-hmm. We do not know that yet. Owen goes for a gun. Ellie shoots right through Owen's throat, nicks Mel's jugular, which even for a video game, that's pretty wild.
Good shot, Tex.
But that's what happens. She falls down, and immediately you see that she's pregnant, like showing pregnant, like baby's viable pregnant. Mm-hmm. And she immediately says, "Do you have a knife? You've got 30 seconds." And Mel's like going to coach, like literally she's about to coach her with her dying breaths. "You got to get this baby out of me. You're going to take it out. Work fast, work fast." Cody, this is the most brutal scene, I think, in the whole show so far. In a show full of brutal scenes, this one is just, I'm looking for the word, but it's horrifying, really.
Mm-hmm. And very frustrating, all at the same time.
It's very frustrating. Ellie freezes, because of course she does. Mel's in her stupor is using like medical terms, lower traverse. she's telling her where to cut, but in a very technical sort of way. And the whole thing's brutal. Mel dies, her baby along with her. Ellie sits and sobs. And all I can think is bitterness takes again. Mm-hmm. This time an innocent child, innocent life. And again, I tell you, Ellie is the monster at the end of this book.
Oh, I was so frustrated with Ellie. Magically, we know how to use the boat. Clearly, we don't know anything about babies. And when we are getting coached, we don't pay attention close enough. And then we don't even try? Like, not at all. Even as it's about to be done, you only have this one chance, and at worst, the baby still dies. At best, you give this baby a chance at life, and no.
Yeah. It's weird because I think the show is trying to, again, make this amorphous, make it an amorphous situation, totally ambiguous. But that's not how it plays out at all. Jesse's right. Ellie's awful.
The worst.
She's terrible. Tommy and Jesse show up miraculously. We don't get to see any of how that goes down.
I'm so mad about not being able to see Tommy do his thing.
They find her. She hasn't moved. She's sobbing. I mean, she's broken up about it at least, which...
That's a change.
Yeah. Then we go back to the theater. The four have been reunited. Tommy and Jesse are planning to get away. And Tommy is trying to console Ellie by saying, they were a part of it too. They made their choices. To which Ellie responds, but Abby gets to live. I mean, holy cow, Cody. She's so locked in. Like, this is a cautionary tale on what bitterness does to you. Like, to me, Ellie is the villain. Tommy leaves to go pack the duffels. And Ellie is left alone with Jesse. Again, she says, thank you for coming back. He says, maybe I didn't want to. Maybe Tommy made me. To which I was like, yeah. But then she says, did he? And he says, no.
Because Jesse's a good guy.
Yeah, and Ellie, maybe for the first time in a while, says the smartest thing, because you're a good person. But then Jesse tries to make her feel better, because he said, also the thought did occur that if I was out there somewhere, lost and in trouble, you would set the world on fire to save me.
Nope.
She says I would, and I believe she would, but that's the point, is you're not supposed to see that as a good thing, as like morally good. You just get lucky enough that someone that's like that likes you. But the collateral damage, as you're going to see.
I'm not convinced that she would go to the extremes that she has gone to for avenging Joel's death. I think that, if these people were just hanging out at the cabin, sure, we'll go burn the cabin down. But I don't know if we're going to Seattle with Dina and myself.
But I think what they meant to do with that 2-on-6 thing in the parking garage was to show you that Ellie has this warped sense of justice.
And a hot-headedness.
So if it had been 6 scars surrounding one WLF, I think she does the same thing. She just contextualizes everything through herself. She's the underdog. And so she feels a warped sense of justice to even the scales. But it's all selfish.
Yep.
She says I would, though. Would come get Jesse. She ain't good for the community, Cody, but maybe she could be good for you. But we're about to prove that wrong immediately, because those are Jesse's last freaking words. There's a commotion. They bust into the next room. Jesse gets shot immediately in the face.
I'm like, well, he's going.
It's Abby. Her friends are dead, and she's pissed. The cycle starts again. She's got Tommy on the floor. Stand up or I shoot this one too. And then Ellie stands up and she sees who it is. She recognizes it. She goes, you. I let you live and you wasted it.
Yeah, you did.
Which, by the way, I'm just like, well, that's your mistake. That's on you. You already did a bad thing. The whole vengeance thing got your friends killed. Just like we said it would.
Yes.
So she's trying, like, look, they're the same. They're the exact same person.
So the wolves are supposed to have a code. She honored the code because clearly the mission was Joel. She was hoping that the rest of the people would learn from this and not mess with the wolves or go up to Seattle. Or, I don't know, have Ellie actually accomplish her mission of killing Abby without killing everyone else. But she doesn't live by the code of the wolves.
She miscalculated because she did not understand that she was looking into a mirror image and that Ellie was going to do the same thing she did, make it her mission to kill the person she cared about.
But Ellie kills other people. She only killed Joel. It was just Joel. So there is a...
So Ellie's worse.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
There's a code, and she's not following the code.
I mean, to some extent, what Tommy said is they made their choices, and I agree with that. Abby's not good in this situation.
No.
But you're right. Ellie's actually worse. Which, we're back to that square again. Like, this is the protagonist of your show now. Because Joel's gone. And you're wondering why people are... The viewership's declining. Because I don't know. This may work in a video game, but for stories, people don't like this.
So Joel at least was justified in his selfishness because it was, while I love someone so much, I would literally try to rescue them against all harm. And something they've done this season that made me really upset is they implied that, oh, there was for sure going to be a cure made from Ellie.
Yeah, the showrunners themselves said it in an interview, which I hated.
Which, season 1, they cast a lot of doubt on if it was even possible.
Yeah, that was Joel's decision was the most morally ambiguous thing they presented. And then they totally stripped it away.
Yep.
Which they made him a monster. And now Ellie's a monster. I'm just wondering how you're supposed to side with these people.
Because, like, Ellie trying to avenge his death after he basically cost everyone that is living a chance at living without being afraid of getting cordyceps.
This isn't even like a Greek tragedy where there's good people making, you know, some right decisions and it's just tragedy that just happens. You know, there's bad people in Greek tragedy too, but it's not all brought on themselves.
Yeah.
It just, some of it is. And it's usually by one character who has hubris. This is like the meme of the dude turning around and shooting the guy in the chair and then turning back to the camera and say, who would do this? Like, Ellie, this is all self-caused.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. Abby says, I let you live and you wasted it. And then she fires. Fade to black. It's at this moment that anger made me pass out for a few seconds. Because I'm like, that's where we're going to stop it?
Nope.
Then we flash back to Seattle day 1 and we get Abby where she's at. And I know what they're doing. And now I'm just even twice as angry. Because now I'm going to have to sit through how many episodes? Let's say they do another 7-episode season. What is it going to be? 4 or 5 episodes of a storyline I don't really care about just to get back to find out what happened? Which, by the way, is going to be someone else shot. It's not going to be Abby, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not killing off Ellie.
Unless they wound Ellie and then you're supposed to be like, oh, how's she going to make it out of this? Maybe
they'll do the Carl from The Walking Dead thing. They'll have her lose an eye.
That'd be cool. So I am a little intrigued by Abby just because I think you're going to get more Isaac. You're going to get more information about the village people, about the wolves. And how did she get a nice suite at the football stadium? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm more mad at the structure. If you'd have combined the stories this season and gone slower.
Yes.
And told me, developed Abby a little more as you were following Ellie's revenge mission, I think it would be better because as it stands now, you're going to base a show, a season 3 that already has declining viewership, like big time declining viewership, you're going to base it around a character who we've had, 3 minutes of screen time total with?
Maybe 5.
I don't think that's a recipe for success, Cody.
Well, the actress that does play Abby, she is a good actress.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Like, her season on Justified was really, really good.
I'm just quibbling with the structure.
I don't know if I would have ended this season the way they ended this season.
Yeah. I'm kind of beside myself with the way this has ended, the way they've told this story, but we should move on. It's time for the RIP segment. Rest in peace. Just collateral damage. I don't even want to do this. I'm so mad. Friends, whatever. We're gathered here today to honor Jesse, a man with great hair, a great heart, and the worst timing in Seattle. He doesn't get the girl. He didn't get closure. He doesn't even get time to dodge. But he came anyways to save the people that were important to him, that left him behind. And that, friends, is a true hero. So I have nothing else funny to say. Rest in peace, Jesse. You were better than this.
You were, until you weren't.
I'm just so mad. I'm so mad. Cody, who is your winner of the season?
Okay. So I forgot to mention something.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
While Abby is chilling out at the Seattle Seahawks Stadium.
She's reading a book. Yeah.
She's reading a book called City of Thieves. And it's interesting because it is set during the Nazi siege of Leningrad in World War II, in which, when you think about the wolves in the village people, as I referred to them as, it probably does feel like a World War conflict. The issue I have is this book wasn't released till 2008.
It's interesting that she's reading a book about the Leningrad siege, where they basically starved out the people of Leningrad.
Yep.
I wonder if that's the showrunner's way of telling us that the Scars were doing that to the WLF. Because where would they get food? They would have to go to the wilds, but they can't do that if it's not safe for them. There's a lot of people they have to feed.
Also, some continuity, folks. That's all I ask for.
My winner of the season, let's give it up for the MVP of emotional intelligence, Apocalypse resourcefulness, and somehow having pretty good hair throughout, Isabella Merced.
Oh, so Dina.
Yeah, Dina, but specifically the actor. In the game, Dina is a bit of a cardboard cutout, as I'm told. I didn't play the game, but she's not really a super developed character. She's more like a plot device with a pulse. But in the show, oh man, Isabella Merced brings it. She gives Dina soul, wit, edge. She's not just Ellie's girlfriend. She's her anchor.
She is.
She's the one who keeps her grounded, and without her, yeah, Ellie's dangerous.
Loose cannon. I'll go with Catherine O'Hara. Moira Rose.
I forgot you didn't give a winner of the season.
I didn't.
You're going with her. She has less screen time than Abby.
Exactly. But she makes good use of the little screen time she has, whether it's the scenes with Joel, scenes with Tommy, or just random scenes where Ellie's like, Joel's lying, your husband was killed by Joel.
Oh, don't remind me. Has this been the worst 2 episodes for a main character ever? Like, they made her totally unlikable in a short span of time.
Very much so.
Who's your loser of the season?
Bella Ramsey.
Oh, boy.
Like, I do think she's actually very talented.
I do, too.
They have given her the worst story arc for a main character that's supposed to be your hero. And now all the social medias are anti-Ellie, and some go to the extreme of being anti-Bella, and that's not fair.
Yeah, let's be real clear. The social media discourse on actress Bella Ramsey is gross.
Yes.
And disgusting. And if those are the people that are upset if those are like the gamers who thought they'd be fine without Pedro Pascal, that's my loser of the season. Gamers who thought the story was so good that, oh, don't worry, Joel's going to die early on, but people will still love this story. Really? You thought we'd lose Pedro Pascal and just like move on? Like he was some random background video game character with a gruff voice and a shotgun? Nah, bro. Look, we get it. You're loyal to the game. You braced for Joel's death like seasoned veterans, but here's the thing. Pedro Pascal's not just Joel. He is cinema.
He is. Also, Mandalorian, take note. Do not kill Pedro.
Well, they already did. He doesn't even play the Mandalorian anymore because they wouldn't let him take his helmet off. Listen, killing Joel might have made narrative sense, I suppose, but thinking that the viewers would stick around, they wouldn't flinch. They wouldn't immediately start grieving in the group chat. That was the miscalculation of the year, I think. So, yes, the show is still compelling. The rest of the cast is very good. But let's be real. You don't just bounce back from losing Pedro Pascal, and the declining viewership proves it. And if you thought otherwise, well, enjoy that place on the losers of the season leaderboard right next to the WLF's water polo team. Losers. I'm just kidding. I don't know where that came from.
That was a bit harsh.
I was letting anger and bitterness take over there.
Also, I'm a little upset.
I love
with
you all.
The showrunners, because they're like, oh, we see the popularity of Joel, and you know what? We're going to make his story be a bit more stretched out, so that way we can capitalize off the momentum, and there could be a compelling 3 seasons of this show. And then, nope, you lied. Jerk faces.
This episode was so whack in so many ways. How many? Let's see. What do we want to make this out of? How many gas-operated motorboats out of 10 with a pulley string starter are we giving this?
I will be generous.
This episode. Oh, you're going to be generous.
I'll go 5.5.
Oh, that's generous.
Yes, like there were enjoyable moments and scenes, but then there was a lot that was left that could have been expounded upon or could have had some deeper tie-ins. Any good story writing, really.
Yeah. We spent an entire episode on the mourning episode where we're mourning Joel. And think about everything that we passed through on this episode. It takes how many episodes till she gets to Nora? And then we get the other 3 within 10 minutes of showtime.
Yep.
Like, it just kind of wild. The pacing of this show all over the place in the last few episodes. I'm going to give the season a 6.5. It started off real strong, but man, did it collapse for me. And this episode in particular, I'm going to give a 5 just because I feel like they just tried to fit in too much story.
Season, I'll give a 7.
Yeah.
6.5 to a 7. But this episode, it's a 5.5. And it's a weird, like, way to end a season.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see the ratings and the numbers as they come out for this show, because I think they're talking about 4 seasons. You better be glad they already greenlighted the 3rd. Because I'm wondering, and as many viewers would be wondering, do I really want to watch season 3? Do I care?
Right now, it's a no.
Yeah, that's wild. To go from, I love this show.
Dave was about to alter his video game into TV/movie stance forever, and now he's back to don't do it.
And to be fair, this is, I think you're seeing the problem of turning a video game into a drama, a TV show, or a movie. And it is based on this, like, there are some narratives that work in video games and that just don't in stories.
Potentially.
What do you guys think? Tell us what you thought of this episode and this season of Last of Us. Maybe you're totally opposite of us. Maybe you like that.
It was the best thing since sliced bread.
If it is, we'd love to hear about it and talk to you and have a debate on social media, because that's what social media is for, right? Let us know. Thank you so much for listening to Watch Alongs. We'll see you next time.